If your YouTube videos motion graphics sucks, here's exactly how you can fix that to transform your videos with a motion graphics that is unique, professional, and also satisfying for your audience to watch. So whether you're an editor or a creator, once you follow these 3 simple step framework, you will be able to make your educational videos to stand out and also to perform better with these new motion graphics that you're going to be using in your new YouTube videos. Oh, and by the way, if you watch this video towards the end, I'm going to give you guys access to a free breakdown of how I make my own motion graphics for completely free. So with that being said, let's start the video. Whenever I'm editing or creating motion graphics for my own videos, this is where I do think I get lost a lot, because most of the time I feel like I don't have really good ideas to get inspired from. And in order to actually fix that issue, I found a really good way. So the very first thing that I personally like to do, I like to go onto Pinterest and I like to just scroll through the feed of my Pinterest account. So whenever I do think that I found a really good design, I just like to save that inside my Pinterest account in a different artboard so I can refer to that all the time. Once that is done, another thing that I always like to do is I like to go on YouTube and watch my favorite creators. So if I personally think that I don't really have a clear direction on how to edit my videos, I like to go on YouTube, watch my favorite creators videos, and then I like to take screenshots of their motion graphics. So if I think that motion graphics look really cool and really unique, I'm just going to take a screenshot. And now once you have that library, the next thing is to actually save them in a separate document. So for me personally, I have a document naming as inspiration bank. So inside my inspiration bank, I have different type of screenshots and designs I have took from many different creators in many different niches. So whenever I feel like I'm lost of ideas or inspiration, I would always going to refer to this inspiration bank. So if you do not really have an inspiration bank, I would highly suggest you to have an inspiration bank with screenshots of your favorite creators' motion graphics and also the designs that you got inspired from Pinterest as well. Design plays a major role when you are creating motion graphics. So if the design sucks, it doesn't matter how good you actually animate your motion graphic. So how exactly you can come up with the unique and professional designs with the inspiration that you have gathered. So the very first step that you got to do is to actually make and decide your own editing style. So whenever that you're actually coming up with your own editing style, there's 3 main things that you need to follow. The first thing is the font. You need to make sure that you have a signature font which you're going to be using throughout pretty much all of your videos. So if you take a look at all my previous videos, you can clearly see I have a consistent font that I have used in pretty much all of my videos. So once you actually selected your font, the next thing is to actually come up with the theme, vibe, and the look of your motion graphic. So this actually falls into one category, which means you need to know what is the theme that you're going for and what is the vibe and the look that you're trying to get with the motion graphics that you're actually making. So I can't just show you or guide you exactly how you can come up with your theme, because your theme is basically a representation of yourself. So once you have the font, once you have the theme and the vibe that you're trying to get with your motion graphics, the third step is the colors. So whenever that I'm actually making my motion graphics, I would always like to go with only 3 colors max. So one color to actually use as your background, and another color as your accent color, another color which you can be using to actually highlight the most important parts like text, images, icons, and all sort of things. So a really secret trick that I always like to use whenever I'm editing my motion graphics to actually keep a consistent color scheme is to use an effect, which I'm going to actually reveal once we move into the next stage. And with this effect, it allows me to actually create some really premium looking motion graphics with only 3 colors. So those are the 3 main steps that you need to follow in order for you to make your own editing style. So once you have that inspiration bank that you have made for that specific video and also your editing style, and once you actually plug that together, you will be able to actually come up with really unique and professional designs just like me. And now once you actually done that, pretty much 80% of your motion graphic is done. And now we can actually move into the animation stage. So for me personally, I don't really love to spend a lot of time, like animating my motion graphics, because especially when you're creating these educational videos, it's all about the turnaround time. The main goal with your motion graphics is kind of like making sure that the idea or the value is kind of like emphasized with the motion graphics so the audience can really understand it much better. One thing that I would always recommend for you to do is to spend less time creating animations. It's basically just keep the animation as simple as you can. So pretty much all my motion graphics consist of basically basic things. So whenever I'm actually animating text, I like to use this tool called Textiva, which is a really good plugin that you can download for completely free in order for you to animate your text. So if I feel like I'm like overusing that, I like to use my custom made presets just to spice up my text animations. And other than that, when it comes to icons and all those things, all I do, I animate the scale, position, rotation, opacity. Those are the 4 key elements that I always like to animate whenever I'm creating motion graphics. So once you are done with the design and you actually animated that with simple basic animations, then it's all about just using these signature effects and making sure that your animation just stands out. Whenever that I'm actually working on videos, I spend like one full day creating my initial 3 to 4 motion graphics, and this includes of many different variations of the central motion graphic that I have made with the theme and also the editing style that I have ended up going for in that video. So once I actually made that initial 3 to 4 motion graphic, after that within the next 2 days I can basically finish up a 15-minute long video, because all I do is I basically use that initially made 3 to 4 motion graphics and then just use that as template. So all I do is just copy that and then paste that, and then I just customize that according to how I want. So basically those are the 3 main framework that you can use in order for you to make your motion graphic to actually stand out. So as I have promised you before, I have put together a full breakdown of how I personally make my own motion graphics, including the effects that I use, how to use those effects, and exactly what type of animation and design techniques that I personally use whenever I'm creating motion graphics. Alrighty, so as promised, this will be the full breakdown video of how I basically make my motion graphics, including all the presets and all my secrets. So let's jump into After Effects and let me show you exactly how I do this, so you can just copy me and do the exact same thing. Alright, so inside of After Effects you can see like these are some motion graphics I have made specifically for this video, and in this video I haven't like used many of these motion graphics, but if I give you guys a quick breakdown of these motion graphics, these are pretty much really simple to make. And for me, in order to make these type of motion graphics, I would say once I made these initially, to actually customize these things and kind of like maintain the same motion graphics and reuse them, it would take me around like 1 or 2 minutes just to like customize these things. So let me show you exactly how I managed to make this. So if I make a new composition and let's just click on OK. So the very first thing that I do, I like to start with the background, and when it comes to the background, all I have is basically a solid layer, and in the solid layer I have a gradient ramp, very simple. And then I have a texture, this is the texture, right? And I just add a rounded mask just to kind of like have these faded edges at the edges. And after that, here's where the magic actually happens. All right, so I can basically duplicate this, and on the top layer I can add a kind of like a stroke at, let's just say at 6. So I'm going to show you how I managed to kind of like get this, where is it, like get this effect, right? So it's really simple. Let me kind of like show you that. So I just added a 6th, like a stroke with a 6 width, and then all you've got to do is, if once you click on animation, I have this preset which I have made, and then after that I can change the color to a little bit darker color just to get this I mean that's completely it. All right, and after that I can basically, and by the way, most of you guys have been asking me about this font, and I have seen many people like recently started to use this font, and I have been using this font for like past 5 years or so, and the font is called Made Tommy. It's a really good font which you can just download. Right, perfect. And then like another thing that I like used here is, you can see there's this, if I go to here, there's this kind of like a like a blurry thing, right? So the way that I have done that is basically through, I just duplicated the text layer, and then you can add a effect called directional blur, just like that, and then just increase the blur length, sorry, I'm just gonna keep it at something like that, and after that you can basically change the blend mode to something like overlay, or if not you can just keep it as normal, and then you can just play with the opacity and just lower down that just like that, and bam. So this is the motion graphic itself. Pre-comp that, and then the favorite thing that I always like to do is add my final effects. So after I added pretty much all of these final effects, okay, so you can clearly see how much of a difference it has made, you know, with the final look and everything. It gave a much more premium look. So this is basically putting like, I would say like 2% of like 5% of effort into this motion graphics, and you can actually top this all off with a like a particle overlay, which I really like to use in pretty much all of my videos. And after that you will be kind of like able to get your own motion graphics, which is going to look so much better. So if I give you guys a quick preview of how this looks, it's pretty, I mean, there's nothing going on here, right? You can kind of like animate the text with my favorite plugin, which I always like to use, which is called the text studio plugin, and it's pretty straightforward once you actually started learning that. So now let me quickly show you another breakdown of my, so this is the project of my previous video, and many of you guys, I don't know like many of you guys, but some of you guys have asked me how I actually made this motion graphics. It's basically the same thing, the same design, same effects I have used. And if you go into my effects control, my final effects are pretty simple. It's basically a vignette effect and a lumetri color. And if you go to all of these things, it's basically the pretty much same thing I just copied with a rectangle, and pretty much the same effect that I have added into these borders just to get this glowing lines thing, right? So I don't think there's a lot that I need to break down here, especially in this one, but the only thing that I actually done differently here is that I have a different background. So if I show you the background, it's basically, I really love that background, and I have exported this background as a PNG. And if you want access to all of these presets, overlays, and pretty much everything that I have used, there will be a link down below where you can get access to this. But the most important thing would not be this one, but rather about this project that I have worked on. So in this project that I have worked on, it's showing you how you can build a personal brand as a video editor. And if you haven't checked that out, please make sure that you check that out as well, because you know, even that you learn to how to edit a video, if you don't know exactly how to position yourself or to market your skills, then you are not going to be able to make money. So if you go into this video, you can see these motion graphics. I mean, it's really simple. So if I like show you one motion graphic, let me quickly show you so like for example this one right here. Yeah, so you can see this has a really clean design, right? But here's where the magic happens. If I go into effects control, these are the pretty much all the effects that I have used, and if I open up this pre-comp, just see how ugly this looks. I have a text behind this whole little box, and inside the box all I have is basically a effect called box blur, just to get this blurry thing, right? And after that, it's basically this light sweep preset that I have used. And after that, to top it all off, this is basically the kind of like the magic that I have used, which is these effect presets, which gives a really premium vibe. And this effect right here is the effect that basically made the whole difference, right? You can clearly see how much of a difference this effect alone make. And this is the effect that I have promised you I will show you to actually maintain a 3-color color palette in your motion graphics. And if you just click on the midtones, I can basically change this to whatever color I want. For example, I can go with like a blue color, which looks like this. I mean, it's kind of like a purple, but you know, you get the idea. You know, this is how much of control I have of this motion graphic. So basically, once you get hold of these effects and also how to use them, it becomes really easy for you to make these motion graphics. Because after I made these initial motion graphics, it's basically a copy and paste, right? Pretty much in all of these things, I have used the same effects, same presets, and all of that. And it just goes same for pretty much all of these animations. same font as I have told you before when you are building your editing stuff, and as well as these motion graphics as well. So yeah, that's basically it. So if you want a much more in-depth tutorial on like much more in-depth videos and lessons on how I actually edit my videos, and also how to become more like a YouTube strategist and actually build your own business with editing, make sure that you click the link down below. And also, if you only want my editing secrets and assets, there will be a separate option for you as well. So that's it for this lesson, and I will see you guys in the next video, and bye bye.